Good afternoon. I want this to go out into the world. I just received a phone call a while back from a lady that her and her family went through the Frelimo freedom fighters in Mozambique. When Mozambique was at war, her parents were rated or known as the biggest farmers in Mozambique. On their farm, one day came the Frelimo guerrilla terrorists with AK-47s and told them, carry on working, but it's our farm now. That girl at that stage, a young girl, couldn't speak English, spoke Portuguese, had to flee with her parents to South Africa with the hope of a better life in 1995. When Francois Pinault, who still hasn't answered me, and for legal reasons I'll tell you that later, used the figure of Nelson Mandela not only to better himself, but to enrich himself. Us rugby followers know that Tiaan Strauss was a far better number 6 than Francois Pinault ever was and ever will be. This woman had to come start a new life, and in tears today she phoned me and she said, is this going to happen all again in South Africa? Well, if we do nothing, it's going to happen. And I believe that the frog may not be us anymore. The frog may be Ramaphosa himself. I think he is fighting for a career, and they are busy turning up the heat on Ramaphosa with the faction fighting that is happening in Pretoria as we speak. As we speak this moment, the faction fightings and deciding whose side they're going to go on. Another thing that I received information from a very reliable source. There's a letter circulating in the African National Congress. It circulated and then it got hidden. It's in possession of Mrs. Zuma. That if Mr. Zuma took the sword and allowed himself to be recalled, Mr. Zuma was guaranteed the presidency of the Republic of South Africa. That is fact, and hopefully I will get a copy of that letter. What is more disturbing is that 500 billion rand plus, not 500 billion, 500 billion plus has been stolen from the poor while we have a national disaster of a COVID epidemic. Now, if you can steal from the poor, and I'm talking about all colors now, black, white, Indian, colored, if you can steal from the poor the money that is meant to use to feed our people, look after them in hospitals, then it means you have got no conscience. So what are you capable of? If you can steal from the poor with no conscience, you become a very dangerous person. The African National Congress have buried 3 ministers in the last while. The funerals cost 73 million rand. I don't know if that was for Chivas Regal. I don't know if the coffin was made of gold. I don't know if everyone who arrived there received 100,000 rand just for being a guest. I don't know if the band cost 10 million. I don't know the breakdown. But you'll find it on social media. I then want to address people in this country and the legal fraternity. We have some of the best legal minds in the world. Why haven't you done the humanitarian thing and stood up for the ordinary South African? Why is some organizations collecting 200 rand a month from people to stand up for organizations? Then I'd like to speak to Mr. Gerry Nel. I don't know you, sir, and I had great respect for the way you handled your court case. But you have promised on social media you're going to prosecute people. Who have you prosecuted? Can you name me anyone that you prosecuted besides standing up for the woman against Mrs. Mugabe, which never went to court? Can you please tell us what Afrikaner, what black man, what colored man, what Indian man you have defended since you left the MPA and went to Solidariteit. You can't make false promises because our people's lives are at stake. The other top advocates in this country, brilliant minds like Mr. Kemp, J. Kemp and Win Tringrove, who've defended this government. I'll leave that there in case of things to come. South Africa, the only reason, and I'm going to say this again for the 48th time, that I make these videos so they stay on record, because writing gets mixed up and confused. We are standing on the tip. We're standing on the tip of civil war. And those of us who are on the ground know what's going on. And this is not just civil war against whites. It may be the other way around, civil war between black and black. So we as South Africans, and I'm going to say this again, in my line of business, I have got every colour from South Africa here besides the Chinese because they're not from South Africa in my business. And they get treated equally. We better make a stand and let the talking be over and do like they did in the African Spring. Because so many people are losing their business. And I'm going to use the word white in this one, because that's what I know about. Is the white men and women who took packages from government in fear of it being stolen by government and opened up small businesses and restaurants and maybe a little hectare or two to grow wine, grow grapes to make wine, that today cannot make money. You are trying to cripple all people while you enrich yourself. But let me close this video, and I'm going to address it to Mr. Magashulu, to Ramaphosa, to Becky Chelly, aka Chuck Norris, who can go to Hollywood and get a job. Is one day, sir, when you meet your maker, you gentlemen and all your other thieves in the ANC, because you're thieving from everyone, remember. You can't take it with you. And South Africa, wake up very clearly now, that if there's a general election and the ANC lose, do you think in your right mind they will hand over power? Never. Never. South Africa, I'm receiving so many calls of men and women who want to stand together and make this a better life for all. Not the new dawn that Ramaphosa promised us. The rainbow nation that Mandela promised us. Because the new dawn, when Ramaphosa said on the 8th of February in the Houses of Parliament, and he used the name of Hugh Magasela and he said, call me, call me. Okay, Ramaphosa, I'm calling you. I'll wait for your reply. 071-592-3165 or info@rael.co.za. I'm calling you, Mr. President. I'm using your own words. God bless.